Hey everybody, Pete Pardo here from Sea Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of our Top 10 Songs. Today we're going to tackle Emerson, Lake and Palmer, or ELP for short, trying to make our way through a lot of the classic prog bands, get them out of the way first. So how this goes is basically I'm going to go through some of my favorite albums and favorite songs by ELP, rank them from number 10 to number 1. So you have a good idea of kind of what I like from the band. So much of today's song choices are, of course, taken from their classic albums from the 70s. They didn't have too many albums past the 70s, obviously, but I got a nice selection of tunes here. Again, I went over a bunch of them, and ELP has a lot of instrumental tracks, short tracks, longer pieces, did some live stuff, so I kind of tried to do as well-rounded of a list as possible, but I think this is pretty representative of where I feel with the band. So let's start at number 10. We're going to go all the way back to the band's self-titled first album with The Barbarian. It actually kicks off that album in a great way, and almost like, it's funny how when you listen to The Barbarian and the way it just kind of lurches in with like this fuzz tone bass, and it's almost like a heavy rock, stoner rock type of tune, but of course then it moves into the bombast that we know and love from ELP. So that comes in for me at number 10. Number 9, we've got The Endless Enigma Part 1 from the Trilogy album, which is their third album, obviously. A gorgeous song. There's actually 2 parts to that on the album. I like the first part quite a bit, and just another perfect example of just kind of the light and shade that this band did so well. You got the wonderful vocals of Greg Lake, as well as his great bass playing and his, occasional guitar layers, which are nice. You've got Keith Emerson and all the myriad of different keyboards that he added into all these great songs. And then, of course, the drumming of Carl Palmer, which kind of held it all together. So The Endless Enigma, Part 1. Really melodic song, too. Love that one a lot. Number 8, another really, really melodic song that goes back to the first album, Take a Pebble. This, for my money, we talked about on the Yes show and on the Genesis show, we talk about those tracks that are just so gorgeous from some of these classic prog bands. And for my money, Take a Pebble kind of sits at the top 3, right? Near the top of those songs that you hear from ELP that just really get you. They get you in the gut. You feel it all in here. Just so emotional, so melodic, so wonderful. It's a very pastoral type of track. Great stuff. From there, we go to Bombast. Number 7, Hoedown. Of course, once again, back to the Trilogy album. Hoedown is just a great get up off your feet and rock out type of tune. It's, again, Keith Emerson, Carl Palmer, man, just putting on a clinic. Love Hoedown. Awesome stuff. Coming in at number 6. I actually almost placed this a little bit higher. And any day of the week it might sit a little higher, but I love it. Their version of Fanfare for the Common Man. That's just great. That's like an anthem. If you're going to pick like any instrumental track in the history of rock and roll, and there's probably been a few of them, that is a definite anthem. That's definitely one of them, right? It's just they just did a wonderful job on that, and of course that's from the Works album. And then coming in at number 5, a real mellow tune that I always liked a lot from the band, Still You Turn Me On. A wonderful Greg Lake tune with some great guitar work on it, just really kind of mysterious, somber vocals. Just a great tune. Love it a lot. That's number 5. Coming in at number 4, Toccata, okay, from the Brain Salad Surgery album. That is just a blistering tune. So many people talk about the genius of Keith Emerson, and if you go through like the entire ELP discography, there's probably a handful of tunes you can pick out to, if you're talking to someone about Keith Emerson, maybe he's never heard Keith Emerson, say, okay, here's what you get with this guy. For me, Toccata is one of the ones that you absolutely have to play for them. This guy with his Hammonds and Moog synthesizer and everything else that he used, just grand piano, electric piano. He used almost everything. And I think Toccata is just a wonderful example of all that he brought to the table. It's just gymnastic. It's bombastic and complex. Just wonderful, wonderful stuff. So that's number 4, Toccata. Coming in at number 3, I almost ranked this a little bit higher. We're going to go all the way back to the first album. This has long been one of my favorite ELP tunes. And I think the reason why I like it so much, because again, it perfectly shows that bombastic side of the band, which I always really loved, and that heavy Hammond organ, which, if you know me, you know I'm a big like Deep Purple, Uriah Heep fan, and all that kind of stuff, Iron Butterfly and Vanilla Fudge, I love that kind of stuff. So ELP, when they brought that kind of heavy Hammond hard rock style stuff to the table, loved it. And Knife Edge is just a great hard rockin' tune with some great vocals from Greg Lake, and just that, dun 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 dun, just wonderful stuff. Love it, love it. Okay, so the top 2, you guys probably know what these are going to be. Maybe not, may not know the order, right? And I thought about flip-flopping them. They're both epics. One I just really had a soft spot for. Well, I have a soft spot for the both of them, but one of them probably a little more than the other. But the other one is no less spectacular. Coming in at number 2, and I'm going to lump them all together here. I know I'm cheating a little bit, but we're going to go Carnival 9, first, second, third impression. Well, first impression parts 1 and 2, second and third. I'm going to lump them all together here, because to me they all kind of flow into one. That'd be like taking side 1 and side 2 as thick as a brick, or it's all one song, right? Basically. Fantastic. This is what progressive rock is all about, folks. Doesn't get much better than this. They took a little chunk of that and played it on the radio, and that was a big hit for the band. Probably one of the most memorable tunes, along with Lucky Man and what have you. But I don't know, that Carnival 9, the whole suite, all those impressions there, just fantastic stuff. Again, Keith Emerson Orama. You got some. You don't hear too often. You got some smoking Greg Lake electric guitar in there, gymnastic drumming from Carl Palmer. Great stuff, great stuff. So number 1, care to guess? What do you think? Tarkus. Got to be Tarkus. We talked about on the Genesis show and in the Yes show, we talked about those great epics that these bands have done. So we talked about Watcher of the Sky, not Watcher of the Skies. Talked about Supper's Ready. We talked about Awaken. We talked to Close to the Edge, Gates of Delirium, all that kind of stuff. We mentioned some Rush stuff. How about Tarkus? And let's throw in Carnival 9 there as well. This is all like epic style, long form rock composition. Okay, this thing we call prog, progressive rock. Tarkus, another perfect vehicle for Keith Emerson's just fantastic explorations into stratospheres unknown, right? Probably some of the best Hammond organ playing ever on any album. Just great, great stuff, and all 20 minutes and change of it. Wonderful stuff. I always rank Tarkus up near the top of my favorite albums by ELP, purely for that tune, because the rest of the album is good, but man, not anywhere near that. I think it's for the best ELP album, kind of start to finish, is probably Brain Salad Surgery, but I think that the Tarkus album, just strictly for that title track, man, hard to beat, hard to beat. So that's my top 10, okay? Honorable mentions, I like to always throw a couple in at the end, so let's see what we got here. So From the Beginning, big favorite of that album, another really cool Greg Lake, more acoustic tune. The Trilogy, title track, The Trilogy, I like that quite a bit. The Sheriff is fun. Pirates is a great tune. Okay, it's another tune off the Works album. These albums kind of get a lot of flack, not to an extent, because they're just not that great. They're not terrible. But I like Paper Blood and Black Moon off the Black Moon album, which was their first reunion album. Pretty solid, I think. Maybe not classic. So, next to some of these other older tracks, not quite up there. But if I was going to take a couple tunes from their later period, I'm certainly not going to pick anything from Love Beach, even though there's a solid couple tracks on there. And then the album that came out after Paper Blood, that's not very good at all. But Paper Blood's pretty solid. I like those 2 tracks. How about The Great Gates of Kiev off of the Pictures at an Exhibition album? I was not going to pick anything from that album because it's a live album, and even though that stuff didn't really appear on any studio albums, I think kind of looking back on it, there are a couple standout tracks on there, and I didn't want to discount it just because it's live. So that, for me, is the best track on that whole album. Again, most of those tunes just kind of morph into each other. They segue very well. But The Great Gates of Kiev is a really, really good one. That's probably right outside my periphery of the top 10. So another quick rundown of the top 10. Number 1, Tarkus. 2, Carnival 9, The Whole Damn Thing. Knife Edge, number 3. Toccata, number 4. Still You Turn Me On, number 5. Fanfare for the Common Man, number 6. Hoedown, number 7. Take a Pebble, number 8. Endless Enigma, Part 1, number 9. And number 10, The Barbarian. Again, your order may differ a little bit. You may have some tracks that you feel deserve to be up there, and that's great. We all have our opinions. We all love what we love. That, I think, is pretty representative of my top 10. Again, as you know, these could change any given week slightly, but most of the stuff that's on there would stay on there, in my opinion. So that's it. Top 10 songs from ELP. Hope you enjoyed it. We got more great stuff coming up. I'm going to do a Tull one later this week. King Crimson's coming up. Rush is coming up. I'm going to do a Gentle Giant. Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Dio, Opeth, Dream Theater, Symphony X, Kansas. You want to hear more? You guys have been putting all sorts of stuff in the comments that you'd like me to do. I'm going to try and get to a lot of stuff. So this is fun. I think everybody's digging this, so we'll do more. So visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. Of course, we're here on the mighty YouTube. We're on Twitter also. So come and see us again real soon. Make sure you visit the website for our latest up-to-date reviews and views on things. But we'll be back at you here on YouTube very, very soon. Take care, guys.